Under the pitch-black sky, where even the moon dared not to shine, there was a house. A solitary structure, it stood defiant against the silent winds that swept the barren landscape. Its silhouette, a stark contrast against the darkness, appeared more a phantom than a dwelling. The house was far removed from the nearest sign of civilization, its only companions being the eerie silence and the haunting shadows. This house, you see, had a new occupant, a man of solitary habits who had just moved in, seeking solace in the isolation. He was a stranger to the area, unaware of the stories whispered in hushed tones by the locals. To him, this house was a haven, a fortress against the world. Little did he know that some fortresses hold more than just solitude. The man spent his first day settling in, oblivious to the creeping darkness that was slowly swallowing the house. As the sun bid its farewell, the man found himself alone in the vast emptiness of the house, the silence echoing through the empty halls. The only sound was the rhythmic ticking of the grandfather clock, its monotonous beat, a steady reminder of the passing time. As night fell, the man found himself drawn to the windows, peering out into the abyss. The darkness seemed to press against the glass, a palpable force that sent a shiver down his spine. The wind howled in the distance, a mournful lament that echoed through the night. It was then that he felt it, a frigid chill that seemed to seep into his very bones. Shaking it off as the night's cold, he made his way to the front door, securing the locks. The house groaned under the weight of the darkness, the walls whispering secrets only they knew. He dismissed the unease, attributing it to the unfamiliar surroundings and the solitude. As he locked the front door, an uncanny chill ran down his spine, but he dismissed it as merely the cold night air. The house was silent, too silent, as if holding its breath. There's a certain chill that travels down your spine when everything around you is just far too quiet. It's an eerie stillness that seems to amplify the smallest of sounds, transforming them into harrowing echoes of uncertainty. In that silence, the man began to notice something unusual, a faint murmur barely discernible above the hush of the night. It was like the soft rustling of leaves or the distant hum of a breeze, but there was something distinctly human about it, a whisper. At first he thought he was imagining things. After all, the mind can play tricks when it's late, and the world around you is soundless. But then, the whispers grew louder, more pronounced. It was a cacophony of hushed voices, rising and falling like the tides, yet he couldn't make out a single word, an unintelligible chorus of murmurs that seemed to be coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. With a pounding heart and bated breath, he began to search the house, room by room. Every creak of the floorboards beneath his feet, every flicker of shadow in the corners of his vision heightened his sense of dread. But he found nothing. No source of the whispers, no hidden intruders, just an empty house bathed in the cold pallor of moonlight. He checked the locks, peered through the windows, even ventured into the attic. But still, nothing. The whispers seemed to recede, becoming mere echoes once more. He sighed, a mixture of relief and confusion, and decided to return to his bed. But as he returned to his bed, the whispers grew louder, echoing through the empty halls. It was as if the house itself was speaking, its walls whispering tales of forgotten times and unseen horrors. The man lay wide awake, the whispers lingering in his ears, a chilling reminder that the night was far from over. The next day, he stumbled upon a door hidden away in the basement. With a heart pulsing in curiosity, he found himself drawn to the mystery that lay behind the door. It was as if the door whispered to him, inviting him to uncover its secrets. The door, old and worn, bore the weight of years of silence and neglect. It was a relic of a time long past, a piece of history buried deep within the bowels of the house. He gently pushed the door open, the rusted hinges creaking in protest. As he stepped inside, he was greeted by a room shrouded in a thick layer of dust and cobwebs. The air was stale, heavy with the scent of old paper and decay. It was a forgotten room, a hidden memory of the house that time had swallowed up. His eyes scanned the room, his gaze falling upon a table covered in a collection of old photographs and letters. Each photograph told a story, each letter held a piece of history. They were snapshots of lives lived and lost, moments captured in black and white, emotions etched in ink on old parchment. He picked up a letter, the paper brittle under his touch. The words, though faded, spoke of love and loss, of happiness and despair. It was a window into a past filled with joy and sorrow, a past that echoed within the silent walls of the room. As he continued to explore, he discovered more letters, more photographs, each one hinting at a tragic past. The room, it seemed, was a vault of memories, a testament to lives that once filled the house with laughter and tears, with love and heartbreak. He spent hours in the room, lost in the stories that the photographs and letters whispered to him. It was as if he had stepped into a time capsule, a gateway into the past. But, as the sun began to set, he felt a chill run down his spine. It was time to leave. As he left the room, he could have sworn he heard a sigh, a mournful farewell. That night, the whispers turned into screams. The air thickened with terror as the once subtle murmurs escalated into a crescendo of desperate cries. It was as if the very walls of the house were pleading for mercy, crying out in a symphony of dread. The man found himself teetering on the edge of fear and curiosity. The screams were a siren's song, pulling him deeper into the labyrinth of the unknown. He could feel the palpable dread seeping into his skin, yet he was compelled to seek out the source of these chilling sounds. The house seemed to twist and turn with each step he took, becoming a maze of shadows and echoes. The screams continued, their tone oscillating between sheer terror and a strange, mournful longing. Each cry was a chilling serenade that filled the air with an eerie melody. As he navigated through this realm of darkness, the man could feel the air growing colder, the walls closing in. He reached out, his hands brushing against the icy chill of the unseen. The screams grew louder, a cacophony of despair echoing through the halls, yet their source remained elusive. His heart pounded in his chest, a frantic drumbeat matching the rhythm of the screams. He could feel the icy tendrils of fear wrapping around his mind, yet he pressed on, driven by an unyielding need to understand, to confront the source of this terrifying symphony. But alas, the source remained a mystery, a phantom whispering in the darkness. The man, drained and defeated, retreated to his room, the screams still echoing in his ears. The haunting melody of terror followed him, a chilling lullaby that seeped into his dreams. As he succumbed to the weight of exhaustion, the screams continued, a relentless serenade that filled the house with its haunting melody. The man drifted into the realm of sleep, the pleas for help becoming the soundtrack of his nightmares. He fell asleep to the lullaby of the damned. He woke up to a presence in his room, a shadow lurking in the corner. The air was heavy with a sense of foreboding, a dread that clawed at his consciousness, pulling him from the comfort of sleep. His heart pounded in his chest, each beat an echo in the silence of the night. The room, once familiar, was transformed into a stage for his fear. The unseen entity made its presence known, not by sight, but by the chilling effect it had on the room. The temperature plummeted, a cold that seeped into his bones. It was a cold that was not of this world, a cold that whispered of the unseen and the unknown. He could hear the subtle creaks as objects around him started to move on their own. His breath hitched in his throat as he watched with wide, terrified eyes as his world was manipulated by an unseen force. The books on his shelf shuffled, pages fluttering like the wings of a trapped bird. His chair scooted back, scraping along the wooden floor, the sound grating against the heavy silence. His fear spiked, a tangible thing that gripped his heart and squeezed. He could feel it, the dread that came with the unseen, the fear of the unknown. It was a fear that was primal, that spoke of ancient instincts and survival. He was trapped in his own fear, a prisoner in his own home. His hand trembled as he reached for the light switch, the only source of salvation in the enveloping darkness. He needed to push back the darkness, to banish the unseen entity that was playing with his fear. But as his fingers brushed the switch, the bulb above him erupted. Glass shattered, raining down around him like a shower of tiny, deadly stars. The room was plunged into darkness, the unseen presence laughing in the shadows. As he reached out to turn on the light, the bulb shattered, plunging him into darkness. The unseen was no longer just a presence. It was a predator in the night, and he was its prey.